Why 300 Blackout? For one thing, it's super versatile. You can shoot supers and subs. I've never shot supersonic ammo through this can yet, so I figured today is the time to try, but don't worry, we've got plenty of subs coming as well. .300 Blackout is the coolest thing ever. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. I'm sorry about that first shooting clip at the range there. It's a little bit blurry. I dropped my camera in the snow, but don't worry, it does clear up throughout the video. But 300 Blackout is awesome. I decided it was time to do a 300 Blackout video for a couple reasons. For one, I've only ever run subs through this Otter Creek Labs Polonium 30 suppressor. And I specifically got a comment from a guy recently saying, man, I want to hear, like, he doesn't have a 300 Blackout and he wants to hear what supersonic rounds sound like through it. So decided I'd run some supers, but of course, also a lot of subs. I love shooting 300 Blackout subs. It's one of the most fun shooting experiences that you can have, in my opinion. And let's face it, while these are for very serious purposes, they're also a heck of a lot of fun. So I've got a few supers left in here, and then subs, so it should get nice and quiet. Subsonic 300 Blackout taking out the far target here. This happens every once in a while. The carriage bowl to get blown off, but I think this is the first time this happened from a subsonic round. So why do you need a 300 Blackout? Why would you want a 300 Blackout? To me, there are a lot of good reasons. And in fact, when I first started getting into building ARs, one of the first builds that I wanted to do was a 300 Blackout. This was my second AR build ever. Like, from stripped receivers, build the whole gun. And it's still one of the ones that I love the most. And for a lot of really good reasons. For one thing, it is one of the most versatile chamberings that you can do in an AR platform, AR-15 specifically, you know, smaller AR platform here. You have two different kinds of rounds. You have supersonic and subsonic rounds. So these supersonic rounds, they basically have pretty similar ballistics to the 7.62x39, which is what an AK-47 AKM shoots. Those are good ballistics. This is a battle-proven platform, and supersonic 300 Blackout does pretty close to the same damn thing. Subsonic 300 Blackout, not quite as effective, but it has its own benefits, mainly in being, you know, super sneaky squirrel clandestine. It's just quiet as hell. For a rifle round, it is super quiet. And the other great thing about 300 Blackout, I mean, there's a lot of great things, so we're going to get into it a little bit here, but it's optimized for shorter barrels. So while you can do shorter barreled 5.56 guns, it's generally not really a great idea to go super duper short. So like up here, I've got the Mark 18. It's a 10.3 inch barrel, and it is widely considered to be about as short as you really want to go with 5.56. Now there are some really good rounds that are optimized for shorter barrels in 5.56, 77 grain OTMs, TMKs, that'll actually expand even out of a short barrel and less velocity. But the thing with 5.56, 223, the way it works is it is very barrel length dependent, meaning that, you know, it was designed for a 20-inch barrel. Most standard carbines are 16-inch barrel rifles. I really like short barrels. I just think that they're fun, they're awesome, they're easy to maneuver around with, easy to use, and there's a lot of benefits to that, in my opinion. And you lose a lot of velocity with 5.56 out of a short barrel, but with 300 Blackout, you don't. It's optimized for a 9-inch barrel, and some of the guns have as small as 5-inch barrels, and those ones are being used by our special forces. 300 Blackout is a rifle round made for a small, compact platform. This video is sponsored by Venice AI. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Venice AI yet, but it's pretty cool. AI, artificial intelligence, it is like the hot new thing the last couple of years. Everybody's heard of ChatGPT, DeepSeek. Well, DeepSeek's software is open source. So Venice AI basically used that, but what they did is they made it private and permissionless. The thing is DeepSeek, yeah, you can use its incredible features to do all of the things that AI can do for you, but all of your information gets stored on Chinese servers and of course can also be censored by the Chinese. Well, Venice AI uses that same software, but it is private. You don't have to worry about any of your private information getting, stolen by the Chinese, which is pretty sweet. ChatGPT is the other big one that everybody seems to really be using a lot for, well, as a tool to do all kinds of incredible things. But one of the guys on the board of ChatGPT was also on the board of the NSA, which we all know what they do. They spy on us. Well, Venice AI, you don't have to worry about that either. So check out Venice AI using my link, first link in the description down below. That link is venice.ai/sawtooth tactical. And in fact, you can get 20% off a pro plan using code sawtooth tactical. So check it out. If you want to use all of the powerful things that AI can give you, but privately and securely and encrypted, use my link. Again, venice.ai/sawtooth tactical. 20% off with code sawtooth tactical. All subs from here on out. So I ditched the ear probe because the steel is louder than the gun. Shoot a couple into the dirt. Oh, that's fun. Terminal ballistics, energy on target, muzzle energy, whatever you want to call it. The energy transfer from a bullet into a target is dependent on a couple things: the weight of the round itself and the velocity. And while bullet weight and energy kind of have, increased in a linear fashion, energy increases in more of an exponential curve when it comes to higher velocities. It's one of the reasons why 5.56, something as small as, a 55 or a 62 grain 22 caliber bullet here, can be so devastating because it moves very, very fast. But as your barrel length gets smaller, the bullet moves less fast. And with a bullet that doesn't weigh anything, if it's not moving fast enough, it doesn't really have the desired effect. 300 Blackout has heavier bullets. So supersonic, these are, I think 110 grain is what I have in here. They go up to like 125s. Subsonic, as heavy as 220 or more grains. That's a very heavy bullet. These are 30 caliber rounds rather than 22 caliber rounds like you get out of a standard AR-15. And so while they don't travel quite as fast, you do still get pretty good energy on target because you have a heavier round. Now, the 300 Blackout was specifically designed to replace subguns like the MP5. 9mm is great. It's a pretty versatile round too. You can suppress 147 grains. Like I run subsonics through this AR9 here, and they sound pretty good. But if you can have rifle round ballistics out of a similar size package, and you can, if I put these up to this one, the only thing that's longer is the suppressor. And like I said, you can use a shorter barrel. I've got an 8.2 inch barrel in this 300 Blackout, and this is my home defense rifle, my home defense gun. The reason being, lots of reasons. For one, it is just easier to be more effective with a rifle as far as you and your own performance. It's just easier to put rounds on target with all of these different points of contact. It's just more stable and easier to shoot something like this than it is a handgun. For two, rifle rounds. Again, if you use supers, these are going real fast and they're still pretty heavy. Using subs, and not going quite as fast. They're subsonic, so they're under, 1,100 feet per second, but they're real heavy. Both of them can be pretty dang effective. And one thing is, if I'm having to use a firearm at night and I don't have time to put on hearing protection, I do want it suppressed. I know that there's a debate about that. Suppressors or not on a home defense gun. To me, I say yes. I don't think that if I have to use a gun defending my home, that putting on Ear Pro is going to be my first priority. And so if I have something that's suppressed, that is going to help. Even if the bad guys coming in don't have suppressors, if everything works out in your favor, hopefully they never get a shot off. 300 Blackout is so much fun. It works great out of a short barrel platform, and it suppresses so good. So why 300 Blackout, and why specifically do I choose 300 Blackout for home defense? Well, first, why 300 Blackout? The rounds, for one thing, are getting less expensive than they used to be. I was shooting ammo incorporated subs today. Subsonic 300 Blackout used to be very expensive. Now, you can get, like 200 round boxes from PSA for 150 bucks. Yeah, definitely not as cheap as 5.56. Definitely nowhere near as cheap as a pistol round like 9mm. But still not nearly as bad as it used to be. And if you want to shoot supers, those are even cheaper. Although the thing is once you suppress your 300 Blackout, I just really like shooting subs now. Subs are a heck of a lot of fun. And part of the reason I have a 300 Blackout is fun. Let's face it, besides all of the serious uses that you have your firearms for, what do you use them most for? Going out to the range, shooting, training, practicing, having fun. And there is nothing quite like shooting a short rifle with no hearing protection. It's a blast. It's just a really good time. The sound of the steel is louder than the shot from the gun. And that's because subsonic rounds don't have that supersonic crack. And so with a good suppressor, like this Polonium 30 from Otter Creek Labs, you can get a very, very quiet platform, which is just a great time. It's also very low recoiling. And 300 Blackout was designed to be able to run out of a standard AR-15 platform. The only different part is literally the barrel. It uses the same bolt as a 5.56 gun. You can run the same magazines, although I do recommend the Magpul 300 Blackout magazines. Sometimes people seem to have feeding issues with subs out of regular 5.56 magazines. So I just bypass that issue by using actual 300 Blackout magazines. Plus then you can know which mags are 300 Blackout and which ones are 5.56 if you look closely enough at the magazine. Now you do not want to shoot a 300 Blackout through your 5.56. This is a 30 caliber bullet. It will not fit down the bore of a 223 barrel. So make sure you pay good attention if you have both. But there's just so many good reasons to have a 300 Blackout. Again, I like a short gun. I like short barrels. Short barrels are awesome. My favorite 5.56 gun to shoot lately has been my Mark 18. And yes, I know that the 14.5 here gets better ballistics than the 10.3. Even the 11.5 gets better ballistics than the 10.3. And the 16 absolutely does. But you know what I'm mostly doing? I'm going to the range and I'm shooting steel. And that 10.3 shoots steel just fine. But even with a suppressor on it, still got to wear Ear Pro, or at least I should if I don't want to lose hearing. With this one, I don't need to. And this one has a full-size suppressor on it. That one has a K-can. And the 300 Blackout is still shorter with a full-size suppressor. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You can add a big old can on the end of here and still have a really, really small, really fun gun to shoot. Shooting a nice short gun with no Ear Pro is such a good time. Putting together a 300 Blackout build is awesome because they just look cool. Short guns look awesome. Now you do, of course, have less rail estate. And so now that I'm getting into night vision more and wanting to put laser aiming modules on my guns, it's like, okay, how do I fit a light a lamb, an optic, a vertical foregrip, all the stuff that I want on an SBR, and still be able to have my switchology in the right place for my thumb. And yeah, that can be actually kind of a difficult thing to figure out. And yes, I know there are plenty of solutions on the market, but when you set up your gun one way and you really like your mod light setup here and the way everything looks and fits together just perfectly, well, you try to put a laser on it and you're like, oh, everything I set up so perfectly is gonna have to move. That sucks. And so there are, drawbacks to 300 Blackout. Like I said, less real estate on your handguard. But, you have pros and cons. This thing for a home defense gun, moving around inside my home with this is really easy. Compared to a 16-inch barrel, especially if I put a suppressor on this or a suppressor on the 14.5, this thing just, dude, it's lightweight, it's small, and it's just easy to deal with. Really easy to use. This just feels like something that is super easy to use. Now, what about zeroing for supers and subs? Well, to me, that hasn't been a problem. I zeroed this originally with supers because when I first built it, I didn't have a suppressor for it yet. But all I do with subs, if I'm taking a 100-yard shot, which I don't really shoot subs out past 100 yards, I just kind of aim for, right above the head on my steel targets. And I seem to make hits pretty much every time, pretty consistently. It's not difficult, and that's with the 1-power red dot. Now, let's talk about what I have on this build for a minute. We've talked about, we've done the ultimate home defense build series, but in case you missed that, what do we got here? So I've got a Roscoe barrel, 8.2 inches. This is a stainless steel barrel, and it has been super accurate. I've got the Otter Creek Labs Polonium 30 suppressor, which is extremely effective and very quiet. Modlite PLH V2 with an 18350 body and a mod button on an Arisaka mount with a FCD, rail panel to manage my cables here. I've got a Holosun 512C, which is their enclosed red dot, kind of perfect for a home defense gun. It's got that EOTech Donut of Death, if you can see that there. But it's got, instead of like an EOTech with, kind of crappy battery life, it's got red dot battery life and shake awake. So again, perfect for home defense. I've got it on a Unity riser. This gun is SBR'd, so it is a 2-stamp gun, meaning that I can run the BCM vertical foregrip, my B5 Systems Bravo stock, B5 Systems Type 23 grip. I've got a Radian safety, Radian charging handle, and of course, a Geisley trigger, because I put Geisley triggers in all my ARs. Although most of them have the SDE, Super Dynamic Enhanced. This one has the SSP, which is their single stage. So no take up and just a crisp break. Pretty nice single stage trigger. Really easy to run fast, and you can run 300 Blackout fast because there's like no recoil. And so, with subs, with supers, the recoil feels to me about the same as shooting a 5.56 AR. With subs, it's like shooting 22. So I think everybody should have a 300 Blackout. But if you're gonna have a 300 Blackout, do it right. And this might get some hate in the comments, but don't build a 16-inch 300 Blackout. And don't do a 300 Blackout if you're not gonna put a suppressor on it. A lot of people, for their first AR, and I don't know why, but a lot of these cheaper gun companies, AR companies, like I see like Radicals and stuff, they put out 16-inch 300 Blackouts, and a lot of people buy them without knowing any better, and then they're stuck buying more expensive ammo using a platform that's not really optimized for the round. 300 Blackout was made for a short barrel. It doesn't need the extra barrel length of a 16-inch barrel. Once you're past 9 inches, you're not getting any extra, maybe a little more velocity if you're like hand loading supers. But generally, the great thing about a 300 Blackout is that you can use a short barrel. And now that, you don't have to worry about using pistol braces anymore. If you don't want to SBR it, you can run a brace, but you're going to want to at least get a suppressor for it. In my opinion, there's no reason to pay for more expensive 300 Blackout ammo if you're not going to suppress it, because that's one of the best things about it is that it's so quiet when you suppress it. Now, I run all my 5.56 guns with suppressors on them these days, and it takes the edge off, and it makes the shooting experience more enjoyable, for sure. But it ain't like shooting 300 Blackout. This just like puts a smile on your face and makes you laugh at how absurd it is. Today out at the range, I ran 20 rounds of supers first, just because I wanted to see what this suppressor sounded like with supersonic ammo. And then I ran 3 mags of subs. And in fact, the mag that had the supers in it had like 10 rounds of subs under the supers. And so when it switched from supers to subs, I mean, it just makes me laugh because you don't realize how ridiculously quiet it is until you start shooting those subs. And it's awesome. It's a good time. It's fun. And it makes you want to train with your, in this case, home defense gun more. Last week, I did a video about training with your carry gun. Actually, the video is specifically about this T-Rex Arms holster. And I was using my Shield Plus carry comp there. And I was talking about how important it is to train with your carry gun because that's the one you're most likely to ever have to possibly use. Well, the other one is your home defense gun. Make sure you're good with that thing. And if it's a really good time and a lot of fun to train with it, because it's quiet as hell and it's small and it's easy to just deal with and maneuver around with, well, you're going to want to do it more often. I get excited every time I get to go out and shoot my 300 Blackout because it's just so much fun. And that's part of the thing about the shooting thing, is it's fun, and 300 Blackout is really fun. Now, you can make it, a lot of people think that you have to have an adjustable gas block for 300 Blackout in order to shoot supers and subs. You don't. I don't have an adjustable gas block on here. I shot supers and subs today. Both of them 100% reliable, no failures of any kind, locked back on the last round every time, even with subs. What I did is I'm running it with a 3-ounce carbine buffer and a Springco yellow spring, which is their reduced power spring. And that's because Roscoe barrels, in my experience, are a little bit undergassed as far as the gas port sizing. And so it did take me a while to figure out the magic sauce for this gun to run both supers and subs reliably. But once I figured it out, all good after that. And that was kind of the point of why they invented 300 Blackout. You were supposed to be able to run it out of a standard AR platform without needing adjustable gas. Now, having an adjustable gas block, sure, awesome, good for you. But you don't need it. So if you can't tell, I love 300 Blackout. I think it is just the coolest. You know, it's just so versatile. It's quiet with subs, and you can run it out of a short gun. It's all the things that I love. Short, suppressed. It's just sweet. It's no recoil. Everything about it is awesome. To me, it's the perfect home defense gun because it was made for CQB. Is what 300 Blackout was designed for, and home defense is as close as someone like me will probably ever get to CQB. I mean, hopefully, never. Hopefully we never have to use these for anything but range fun. But in case, I mean, you might as well have something optimized for it. And I feel like I have every advantage available to me in a short suppressed 300 Blackout SBR like this. And some people will ask, why would you use NFA items for home defense? If you ever have to use it, it'll get confiscated from you. Yep, but if I'm alive, it's worth it to me, no matter what it costs me. Hopefully, never have to deal with that, but if I do, I want every advantage available. Meaning short, meaning quiet, meaning zero recoil, meaning an optic that's going to be on with good battery life no matter what. On a riser, so that it can just come up right to me in the middle of the night and I don't have to get down on the stock and look for that reticle. I just want it to be the easiest, most effective thing I can use, and I can't think of anything better than a suppressed 300 Blackout SBR. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical, and let me know down in the comments what you think of 300 Blackout. And if you have a 300 Blackout, leave your build list down below. Let me know how you built yours out. Hopefully, it's not a 16-inch without a suppressor. Sorry if I'm offending some people by that, but I mean, That's the best things about 300 Blackout. Short barrel, suppressed. My opinion, of course. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.